What's happening, people? Welcome to Man United Unfiltered, the third podcast of this new segment we have on our channel. Hopefully, every Wednesday we can bring that to you. If you're watching right now, please smash a like on the video, share the video, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Charlie, they loved you last time, so we thought, why not bring you on again? How are you doing, Charlie?
Yeah, thanks a lot, mate. I'm all good. I hope you're all right.
Yeah, we're all good, man. We're all good. We're surviving, man. That's the key thing. We're surviving. Adam, how are you, man? How's the studies? Everything okay?
I'm good, mate. Thank you. I'm all right. It's going to an end, so quite happy, quite glad.
Yeah, exactly. I wish the football was coming to an end because it's too much pain. But we've had 2 weeks off, Musa. How you been enjoying it, man? Stress-free life, no United.
Yeah, man, just chilling, man. I was watching the boxing on the weekend, man. Massive fight.
Yeah.
So I was enjoying the boxing and kicking back. Just a chance to forget about Ollie, man.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stories coming out about Ollie. It's crazy, man. Just when you think the dust is settled, just when you think, maybe they're gonna kind of report him as when they see him, Charlie. The Athletic are reported, which I think is very damning of the kind of coaching setups. Did you read any of the report? What did you make of it if you did?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. It's quite funny because I think obviously the fan base is very, very divided on Twitter as well, and I think there are some people who have no trust in the coaches and just want everybody out, and there's other people that will always back them even though they're not good enough. But there's also some people who will back them because they actually think they're good. There's actually some people that think the coaches are good, and fine, you can have that opinion, but. For a long, long time, I've had an opinion that I don't think our coaching is good enough, and I think it's partly because of the system we have as well. But what I've often been told is, "Oh, you're not on the training ground. Oh, you haven't got a UEFA license. Oh, you're not a coach. Oh, you're only a kid. Oh, you're this. Oh, you're that." But we can all see we all watch football differently, and we can all the majority of people, if you understand football, you can see on the pitch that there is a coaching issue. You see it on the pitch every week. It's not that we have to be at the training ground. When you're watching a match, you watch things, you watch patterns of play, you watch combinations, you watch how comfortable the team is, and that is all worked on in the training ground or not worked on, which is actually what I think is happening. The reports about McKenna were interesting. Some people saying some players think he doesn't lack the charisma, I think was one of the words they used, and the credibility, I think, as well. And we also saw that sort of Carrick puts an arm around people. So we've got Ollie, Phelan and Carrick who don't coach. And then we've just obviously got Phelan. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a close relationship with your players. You need that. None of us want the staff and players to be falling out. We need that. But also you need an adequate level of coaching. And I don't think we've got that. It was actually quite interesting to read. But they also said something like, McKenna might be good enough for a top 6 club. I think that they said in the future or something, but I just don't. It was a bit strange. But yeah, it's very, very unclear what's actually happening. But what I do know, there is some sort of issue there. So yeah, I think we've become put an arm around a player and go and express yourself FC. That's our new team name.
Yeah. Exactly. Adam, you're well in your tactical side of it. You always give detailed analysis. Can you maybe kind of find some kind of thing here? Carrick's skills is spotting details and influencing players with around the shoulder. A well-placed associate said McKenna has potential to go to manage a top 6 Premier League club. This is the highest level of diligence and research when preparing. He has diligence and he prepares well. You may not prepare well when they put McTominay and Fred, combat midfields,
No, they don't. They don't. And you can do your research all you want, and you can be very, very meticulous and rigorous in your approach. Doesn't mean you have the competence to achieve it. You can work. We all had those people at school who used to work very, very hard and they were not achieving the same level just because maybe they weren't good in math, but they were good in French, for example, or they were good in another subject. So, and I believe this is what we have. You have people with different skill sets, and nobody within our coaching staff have a good skill set when it comes to coaching. They have good skills when it comes to everything else. but coaching. And this is a new era of football. The football has changed a lot during the last 24, 20 years. And now you need to be very, very good with the tactics. You need to understand the strength, the weaknesses of your players. You need to understand systems. You need to understand that when you play with a midfield three, if it's a flat midfield three, you need different players if it's two number 8s and one number 6. You need to understand that if you play with a back four and two wingers in the 4-2-3-1, you need inverted wingers. If you play with a 4-3-3, you need wide wingers. All of those nuances are very important. And yeah, maybe they are doing the best they can, and you can never fault someone for trying. This is where I don't come from a place of disrespect regarding
But
any
it's
of
Man United. You don't learn on the job. At Man
Exactly.
United, we don't learn on the job.
Exactly, you just hit it there. It is Manchester United, so yeah, they tried and they do their best, and hats off because the pressure is immense. This is the world's biggest club, but it's not good enough. It is just not good, and it is our duty to call it. We are fans. We want what's best for the club, and in their situation, they would try to hold on to the job. Of course, we would as well. But someone somewhere within that entire structure needs to call it and to say, "Look, this is just not working, is it?" And and this is where we go always to the board and the Glazers, because I'm very, very focused on the coaching staff, because I believe that you can have shocking owners and still have results because it has been done. You need competence at coaching level. But then again, if they sack Ole, they might just go and get Southgate or something. So it's
Most of man, it feels like, when you were back in school and that, and then the cover teachers kind of stayed too long than he should, and then the exams come around at the end, and then you're like, bloody hell, we don't know anything here. We're kind of struggling. You know what I mean? This is what it feels like, man. You know what I mean? It feels like the cover teachers have been supervising the class for too long, and now they're in the exam and they have no clue what to do. The players, apparently, they're questioning the methods. You know what I mean? It feels like for me that these coaches have now been exposed in terms of they're actually not what they came here, the project, the kind of feel good factor. When all that wears down, the kind of vulnerabilities of their coaching and their kind of lack of coaching gets exposed, isn't it?
100%, man. I think right now we're coming to a collision with Ollie and his staff and the season ahead. And I feel like this season's gonna really show us what they're about and what they're not about. I think a lot of us have made up our mind, and I think those who have made up their mind have the right to do so on the basis of what they've seen for the last couple of years or so. But at the same time, I also feel like with the games that we have coming up ahead, with some of the injuries that we have in the squad, at the same time, we've been here as a United fan base, debating about having one of the best squads in the league. So then this is not going to be an excuse, because if we're also saying we've got one of the best squads in the league, so when injuries come, it shouldn't really be an issue. So looking at where we are now and the games ahead, I just want to get these games on and cracking and seeing what Ollie and his team have to do. A lot of the time, what scares me is that whenever Ollie's needed help to come out of a situation, the players have performed with that freestyle football. Because at the same time, as much as we get frustrated and we're not able to break down the teams with the low blocks, but when also our players come up against some of the best players in the world, with the Man Cities and the Liverpools and those type of games, they also want to show what they're worth. You know what I'm saying? Even though they're getting dead systems brought to them by Ollie and the coaching staff, but they also don't want to go onto the football pitch and not perform. So that's where we get that individual brilliance from our players who are fighting to win those big games. Absolutely. And then sometimes that covers up on the cracks with Ollie and the staff. But I just feel like how serious the other contenders are in Chelsea and Liverpool and City this season, I think that's not going to be enough. I don't even think the individual brilliance is going to be enough to beat these teams, because they mean business. And the game and how they're playing as well, I just feel like Ollie's going to be exposed. You know what I mean? I really think he's going to be exposed way before Christmas. You know what I mean? I think we're talking about in November. I'm looking at in November, we're going to be saying this guy's, it's a wrap for him. So I'm kind of optimistic, but at the same time, I'm thinking, do we like most clubs have a strategy in terms of cool. If we like at United, we should already know, or the people in charge should already know who they think should be the next manager of Manchester United.
Yeah, true.
You know what I'm saying? I think it was a bit bait when Poch was available and Ollie was nearly going to get sacked after the Burnley game and all of that stuff, and everyone was screaming Poch. But since he's not really been linked to United and since he's got his job, we haven't had that real link to a manager where we feel like if Ollie was to get the sack, this guy will come in. Where we have that with other teams. We have that with Chelsea, and we have that with, you know, we can only say Chelsea because they're the only ones that always, you know, swap their managers. But when they get rid of someone, they've already like identified who's coming in and who they want to come and take over. So what worries a lot of people as well who support Man United and the fan base is that it's all good getting rid of Ollie, but who's coming in? Because we also know that there's just like, you know, like the people that run the club, they're not adequate enough in their approach to making these changes, you know what I'm saying, and these big moves that we need, because I think I would be more relaxed and be more comfortable knowing that, cool, if Ollie messes up, he's definitely going to get sacked and we're definitely going to move for a proper manager. But even in that process, it's like, Ollie might get sacked and then Carrick gets the job for the end of the season. Then Carrick becomes the new supervisor manager. Then everyone's singing Carrick's at the wheel, and then bang, we've got Carrick for another 2 years.
Well, maybe that's why they've given Phelan 4-year contract. Maybe that's why they want to give Carrick a 4-year contract. You know, maybe that's the reason. Yeah, you know, Charlie. Someone tweeted this here. Big up to Elite Pundit. He said, Ollie doesn't handle the coaching. Phelan doesn't handle the coaching. Carrick handles some coaching. McKenna handles coaching, but not experience at the highest level. Some think this is okay. Well, you know, that is very alarming. Some people do think it's okay. You know, when you're going to see these next top games and you're thinking, you can only, like Musa says, you know, the players will bring him out, but it's like almost now we're waiting for Rashford to turn up, and he's coming back for an injury. You don't know what sort of state Rashford will come back. You know, because in the day he hasn't had that full contact in the Premier League where, you know, his shoulder was hurt from, you know. So what, you know what I mean? Who is doing anything in this football club? It just feels like for me, it's just like, you know, much ado about nothing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the sort of Ollie style, from what I can understand of it, is to allow players freedom to go and play. You know, we've got some good technical players. There's no real, when we're on and off the ball, there's no real, I'm waiting for some sort of system to appear. For example, when we're pressing, it's not, it's disjointed. It's not all as one. It's not pressing in groups. It's normally, if it's Cavani up front, it's Cavani pressing alone. If it's Ronaldo up front, he won't press. So then Bruno will go and do it. And we just don't have this sort of unit when we're pressing. And then when we're on the ball, just a real struggle to break down low blocks, a real struggle to keep the play patient and move it from side to side. Instead of that, players take shots too early, players look for the hero ball, and then we lose the ball, and then the opposition could waste time, whatever. So I think in terms of what's going on, I think in training, players are mostly doing fitness things, I imagine. Ollie said, I want my team to be the fittest team in the league. And I think a lot of the work is fitness work.
That's why you got McTominay and Fred. If you're honest, they cover a lot of ground, but they really don't do anything.
Yeah, and I think that's what happens. I think basically the front four go and express yourself, freedom, and therefore we're going to leave spaces in midfield. So that's why McTominay and Fred play, to cover those spaces. But yeah, I think a lot of the work is sort of running from side to side, doing little drills. I mean, for example, I go to all the home games at Old Trafford. When the players are warming up, it's like Sunday. It's Sunday League warm. There's a player in the middle, lay it off to the player and shoot, and it's shooting practice.
That's all it is.
And when we played, was it Everton, the 1-1 draw, wasn't it? When I was watching Everton, they were doing proper intense drills. Like they were doing.
I know. Honestly, someone finally is saying it and calling it. Honestly, they were doing little, little things, and I was like, what the hell? And I'm looking at all of a side, and I'm thinking, is this a little practice session for Ronaldo and Bruno?
And then the other side, I understand, right? There's nothing wrong with doing shooting. Like, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But when you're warming up for a match, you should be like you shouldn't have to do much shooting practice. Like take a couple of free kicks if you want.
Yeah.
But like they were doing it for a good 5 or 10 minutes. They were all
5 or
taking
10
free kicks.
minutes.
They were all trying to hit the crossbar and all this bollock. I just don't know what to say.
Yeah.
In the warm up, they should be practicing combination play, practicing get fast passes between each other.
Yeah.
And we do some
Even that
just
Mourinho, sorry to cut you off there, Charlie. Even the Mourinho one
Yeah.
where they used to do them little things where they'd pass it to the side, then Lukaku would be in the middle and they'd score. You know, I don't know if you remember that was where they used to do little pass, then someone would be on the right hand side, and then at least, you know, some combination, you know, it's something.
Yeah, it's some sort of combination. But the issue is, I don't think there's any set patterns in our team, and that it's not always a great thing to be a rigid team. We don't want to be rigid. Of course, we want to be fluid, but we're over fluid. We the players basically do what they think in that specific moment, rather than having coaching and being drilled. Okay, in this moment, try and do this. We're not going to tell you what to do, but we're going to advise you to do this. In this moment, okay, do that instead. In this moment, drop back. If this player goes forward, drop to make a back four, whatever. Fill a player in. You need to cover him. You need to cover him. But it's just we don't want to be too rigid, but we're just over fluid. The players are not given a great deal of instruction from what I can see, and they're just let out to do what they want. And that's why Bruno plays with such freedom. It's not always a bad thing, but to win a title, especially with Ronaldo coming in, we've just got too many players who don't do enough work, particularly in the forward areas for me in terms of defensive work.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, can you echo any of your thoughts on there, Charlie? Because for me, honestly, you know, I mean, you only have to see it live, Adam, to understand what these guys do. They come on, they do a bit of running, then they do a bit of rondo. But the rondo is literally like, it's not intense. You know, I remember Villarreal doing it, and you know how the circle, it has to be tight.
It has to be tight.
The rondo has to be tight. So you have no movement, no space. It's quick thinking, boom, boom. It's not like that. They have so many spaces. They're just not bothered at all. You know what I mean? And then it's like they do a bit of shooting. The shooting takes the whole lot, by the way. And then they go on to the right-hand side. They do that little run, and then they're back in. And that is all it is, mate.
Yeah.
And for
and you
me...
know what, I'm not surprised one bit. Because if we had any real shape or structure, like Charlie was saying, if we had an intent, a purpose, a system, something that we want to play into, we would have seen it. So what you see in the training and the warm-ups is what you see on the pitch, because there is no chance those players are going to all of a sudden start playing very, very good football with a very, very solid, sound shape. There's just no chance it's going to happen out of the blue. That's why Pep is the highest earner at Manchester City. And there's a reason. People believe that you buy Pep Guardiola good players and you buy him a good, solid CDM, and then that's it. You play that, you get 97, 98 points a season. That's too easy. Do you know how many good teams in Europe have the right players to play midfield 3 and they don't?
I know.
Because it is way more complicated than that. It is way more complicated than that. For example, you do not just play a 4-3-3 for the sake of playing a 4. You do not play a back 3 for the sake of playing a back 3. That's why that's why we talk about philosophy in football. For example, Antonio Conte believes in the back 3. He will not do anything else because that's how he wants and that's how he understands football. If you take him out of his preferred formation, well, then you won't have the same solid team. You won't have the team playing as well as it could, as it should, because he believes in the back 3 systems. That's how it is. Pep Guardiola wants to play in the 4-4-3 because he's from the Dutch and Barcelona school. 4-3-3, possession football, total football. This is how he understands the game. So everything he does, it goes for that purpose. This is the problem we have. For example, I don't know if you've seen it on Twitter this week, the short clip of Ralf Rangnick talking.
I know. Yeah, crazy.
The thing he said about if you ask Pep, if you ask Klopp, if you ask Julian Nagelsmann, they have an idea in their head of a perfect football game. That is such a beautiful statement. If you ask me, I think it is fascinating. Those managers. And another thing, Ralf Rangnick, he rates Julian Nagelsmann very, very highly. And Nagelsmann is like 33, 34. Yeah. And this is scary because this is Ralf Rangnick is the man I've been wanting for Manchester United for the last 5 years.
He's going to Newcastle now.
he might be going to Newcastle. And I've said it, and you know my brother Adil as well. And we said it. Ralph Rangnick is the man we need at Manchester United. Why? Because he has built good, successful football programs in the United States, in RB Salzburg in Austria, RB Leipzig. He knows what he's doing, and the managers he has produced, top level. They are winning Champions League. This is what happening. Thomas Tuchel, Jurgen Klopp, Julian Nagelsmann, Marco Rose. Those are all Ralph Rangnick system. And that point he made in that short clip we've seen on Twitter this week. If you ask those top class managers, they have an idea of a perfect game in their head, and that is so important. Jose Mourinho, you may like him, you may not like him. Jose Mourinho has a very, very defined idea in his mind of what a good, well-executed football game is. And this is the problem we have. What is a good football game for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the coaching staff? What is it? What is the...
It's based on vibes, isn't it? It's based on the good feel factor. The good feel factor then gives him good football.
They ride the wave. It's just... Yeah. No, it's not making sense. It is not. And this is Manchester United. It is the biggest club, if you ask me.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. So we need, as Charlie said, and going back to what you said about the warm-ups and everything, if you don't see structure and purpose on the pitch, you will not see structure and purpose on the training grounds, in the warm. You will not see it anywhere. You will see Pogba on the left. You will see McTominay and Fred when you have Matic and Donny van de Beek on the bench. You will see you will chase Jadon Sancho for 2 years and then not play him. This is what happens when you don't have a plan. You go for your top target for 2 years, £75 million, and you don't really play him. If he really wanted Sancho on the right, regardless of who is injured, he would have played Sancho on the right, just so that when his first ideal setup comes back, well, at least Sancho has had like 7-6 games on the right where he wants him to play. Now he played him on the left. I personally prefer Sancho on the left than on the right. But that was not the purpose of signing Jadon Sancho.
No.
We want him to play him outside on the right. I'm sorry. Yeah. So just say, come on. It just doesn't make sense.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. And then you will say you got now. You know, I feel like Man United are even exposed more now with the loss of Varane. You know, he's out for a couple of weeks. You know, they haven't said why, which makes me more worried because, sometimes you get these. I don't know why. Back in the day, you used to say 1 or 2 weeks he'd be out. Now it's just like a number of weeks. You don't know what's going on. We've got Bailly and Victor Lindelof. One of them, Bailly, I don't know if he can play twice a week. Can he survive? I'm not sure. He looks leggy. I don't know if you were at the game, I've seen the game, but he looked leggy at the West Ham Carabao Cup game. He looked like he was holding something there. So he's gonna be thrown into the deep end against Jamie Vardy because there's no lack of rotation, is there? So, how big of a blow is that Varane, or is it again another excuse that we're gonna make because Ollie's gonna, for the people that support Ollie, they're gonna be like, well, he's lost his 2 centre backs. He doesn't have a DM.
I think depending on how far Harry Maguire is, even if he's like 50%, Ollie's throwing him in. Ollie's throwing him in. Ollie only needs a 50% Harry, and he's throwing him right in with Lindelof, and we're back to square one where we can't have a high line because it's Harry Maguire and Lindelof, and then we just got Fred and McTominay in front of them, and to be honest, he's just gonna go back to his back six, that same, what we spoke about last time. We spoke about last season, that square that they adopt of
the square.
McTominay, Fred, Lindelof, Maguire, and you just look at it and you think these players are just, we can't play anything with that square. And I think they're going to adopt it again against Leicester. And if he has Rashford back, he's, like you said, he's just going to be like, Rashford, please win me the game. Bruno, please win me the game. Whoever's on the right, Greenwood, please win me the game. Ronaldo, please win me the game. That's all he's on. You lot get the ball, win us the game. We're just going to hold tight, make sure. But you know what's nuts is that all of that holding tight and all of that defensive six, they still get peppered. Like, they still just get run through.
they haven't, even with Varane in there, we haven't kept a clean sheet. So
that's what I'm saying.
We're looking at the defense too much. Maybe it's the whole setup is wrong, and that's where we probably need to focus on. Maybe it's not Varane,
100%. It's the system, because if we were like Jose and them man there, and we're not conceding, or we can see that all right, we're playing defensive, but we're not conceding, we're holding clean sheets, then this idea of these lot winning us the game with just one goal will actually make sense. But that's not happening. Our midfield, like they're just still running straight through Fred and McTominay. They're still getting straight to our back four. You know, we're still having Wan-Bissaka tucking in to defend, you know, centre backs, and it's just not working. And the fact that Shaw hasn't had the same start to the season as he had last season, he's still playing well, but he's just not, you know, he's not playing out as much as he was last season. There's just going to be a load of pressure on us, and I just feel like, you know, Vardy and them man there, they're ready, man. I don't know. To be honest, when I look at the Leicester game, I definitely don't see us winning. Maybe a draw, but I just don't see us winning. And it's sad because we actually got we're going to keep on saying this, man. We know we got the team and the players to do it. But when I look at the staff that we've been talking about earlier, the coaching staff, again, I start to think, is it because they don't have a leader at the helm as a proper manager to actually help them progress and get better? Would Carrick and McKenna and all these guys actually do better under a Pep or a Klopp learning? Because these lot also coach and are real coaches. Because I'm thinking McKenna, though. Yeah, but McKenna, like before all of this, there was a lot of good things being said about him and the youth teams and everything that he was doing there. And then he's come with Ollie, and it's like everyone that's with Ollie has been taken as being crap and not good enough. Yeah. But the question I want to ask, does that also go on to the coaching staff, or is it really them? Because at the end of the day, I can't see McKenna and Carrick going on like, I'm the big man and I should be in this position. They've just been given an opportunity as coaches, young coaches at that, and they've taken it on. So I'm thinking to myself, with that being the case, had they had someone more experienced? Because you know, when I was watching the game the other day, I was watching football with my missus, and she said to me, how comes Klopp's got a tracksuit on? I said, because the brother's a coach. He's a coach. He's on the touchline with his hat and tracksuit. I said, because he coaches the team. You know what I'm saying? Because our guy just sits there on the tablet. He's not on it. He's like
he's playing Candy Crush, man. I said it 2 years ago, man. They're playing Candy Crush.
He's playing the other game. What's that game my kids play? I forgot it. What's it called again? It's like Your Humans and that. All the little kids play it.
I don't know. Let us know in the comments.
Roblox.
Yeah, Roblox, man. Yeah. I remember that as well, man. You know where Charlie Musa makes a point about, you know, Kieran McKenna and his people said good things about it, but I don't buy into that, because for me, when you were in school, and you had to write your personal statement, you know, you said so many things, and even on your resume, like everyone puts the best in you. You're never ever gonna put a bad resume out because you're not gonna get the job. That's what it feels like with McKenna. They said good things about him, and United were like, wow, man, this is good. He's got a quote from here. He's got this quote here. He's got all these magical quotes. That's what it feels like, McKenna. You know what I mean? And Michael Carrick, to be fair to him, he went into that kind of work experience, and he must have, you know, showed all the colours that he needed. But again, it's like the cheap option. We have got the cheapest coaching setup at Manchester United, and we want to be the biggest club in the world. It's, for me, I find it absolutely bonkers, and it's not stressed enough, is it?
Yeah. I think Musa makes an interesting point about McKenna. I think it's not just the coaching staff's fault. I think the system that Ollie wants to play, there isn't really what can you actually coach? That's my question. Like, what can you coach? Because it's not really that. There's nothing really to coach, is there? Like decision making, like shooting from far, like taking. The only thing really to coach is taking risks. You know, Shaw, get forward, high and wide. McTominay and Fred, make sure you cover spaces. Bruno, you can roam in the false nine position. Greenwood, you can cut inside forward along with Rashford. There isn't really that much you can coach in this system. So it's a good point that Musa makes about would this coaching setup look better in a proper sort of modern system, whether it be tiki-taka, whether it be gegenpress, whatever it might be. But still then they don't have the experience of doing that before. So they shouldn't really be at Man United, you know what I mean? But yeah, the thing about Varane, I think that do you want me to talk about Varane now, Saeed, or are we going to
go for it?
The thing about Varane is people are making out as if we're this perfect team with Maguire and Varane in it. We've conceded on average more or less a goal a game with Maguire and Varane in. And we've kept one clean sheet in the last 10 games.
Shocking.
And in those 10 games, none of those games were against what I would call any of the so-called top 6 teams. We played 2 teams in Europe. Villarreal are always tough to play. I'm not saying it's an easy game.
Yeah.
2 teams in Europe, which, with all due respect, will probably go nowhere near the quarterfinals. And you know what? And the thing is, you cannot. We can say, "Oh, we got over the line in this game, that game," but we've just conceded too many goals to win a title. Like you cannot keep conceding so many goals. I think we're on our longest run without a clean sheet for 50. Is it 50 years now? I think.
Yeah, Old Trafford, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Old Trafford, and like it's not a Maguire Varane issue. It's not a Shaw issue. It's not even a Wan-Bissaka issue. It's a system issue. It's a unit issue, and it's putting a CDM in there. Of course, it's going to improve it slightly, but it's not going to transform us to that next level, unfortunately.
No.
And I think a lot of people also forget, away to Wolves, very, very fortunate not to concede 3 or 4 goals. You know, away to Southampton as well. I'm just trying to think of other games where we got Villarreal at home. I think we could have been 2 or 3 down. And
West Ham away, you know, David De Gea makes a last minute penalty save.
Yeah, and it's not a player issue. I mean, look, I don't think Maguire. I think Maguire, Shaw, and Wan-Bissaka are all decent players. I don't think they're poor. I don't think they're world class. I think they're decent to good footballers. I think they're good enough to challenge for a title. I think Varane is a world class defender, and I think Lindelof and Bailly. I think Lindelof's slightly higher in the pecking order. I think Lindelof's a good defender. I actually quite like Lindelof, and I think Bailly is okay. I think he's decent for a top 6 team. Probably not a starter, but. Like, we have got good enough defenders and players to challenge for a title, but the whole issue is the system. And I've been saying it for months and months, and people have come, "Oh, wait till he signs Varane." Well, we've signed Varane. This is supposed to be the answer. We'll sign a CDM if Ollie's still here, or if a new manager comes in. You will see the difference in terms of the way that the system plays. A CDM will it will slightly improve us if Ollie's still here. It will make a little bit of a difference, of course it will. Bringing in a new player like an Ndidi, it will help a little bit, but the general consensus is that, as we talked with Adam about the 4-3-3, people think you can just slip a player in there with Pogba and Bruno and you can just win a title. Like, it's just not going to happen. It needs a lot of work, and especially because 4-3-3 is one of the most complex formations out there. It's just so complex.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think having Varane out just takes away a good individual player. And Maguire hasn't been performing well anyway, but we will lose. We will lose something, but at the end of the day, it's
a comfort blanket, isn't it? You know, Varane and Maguire. It's a comfort blanket, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, some of that they can say, you know, the fans will ease the pain or whatever. You know what I mean? And it gives them kind of some sort of hope. But you know,
there was this understanding that once we got Maguire and Varane, we wouldn't need 2 holding midfielders no more. We wouldn't need 2 sixes. What happened to that?
Yeah,
what happened to that?
Another lie from Ollie. Another lie from
and that never made sense in the first place, because the argument of saying you need a fast centre half so you can play higher up the pitch, it just doesn't make sense to me, because it's like saying we need a fast centre half to base our entire system on the fact that we might lose the ball and we need someone to win it back. So you're basing your entire system on the chances that you could lose the ball, and you need it. Just I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. It's just if you
I know what you mean. He's thinking too much about the negatives rather than the positives of the game, and that's why he sets up like that.
Exactly. If the focus was on playing higher up the pitch, then you would work on winning the ball back, pressing to win it, and being able to create enough spaces and stretch the pitch enough so you can move it.
But he would get exposed then. He would get exposed even more, because he would then have to rely on his so-called system, you know what I mean, naturally working in every single department. So, you know, you wouldn't allow Bruno to just kind of wander off, you know?
Exactly.
He shouldn't. I see what Bruno does at Man United. He doesn't do it for Portugal, and he would not do it under Pep or Klopp. Just walking around wherever you want, getting the ball wherever you want, dictating how you play and what you do. Like, Ollie doesn't even look at Bruno when he's playing the game. He doesn't even look at his weight. He doesn't give him no instructions, no nothing. Players like that, and I just feel like he has too much freedom for his own benefit, for his own stats and his own goals, but is it for the betterment of the team? And that's the same thing I look at Greenwood. Like, I love Greenwood and I think he's an excellent number 9, but I feel like when he doesn't score, what is he doing on the right? What does he really do?
That's true.
Do you know what I'm saying?
True.
If he's not scoring, which he hasn't been doing for a minute, what is he doing? Is he assisting? Is he creating patterns of play with Wan-Bissaka? This is why.
But he's only there, Musa. He's only there because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows if there's one chance to fall to, it's Mason Greenwood. And
of course, that's not enough though. For the but for the betterment of the team, we need people that's going to create more for the whole team as a whole. So maybe Pogba can get on the end of something, Bruno, Ronaldo, whoever, like even Wan-Bissaka getting in the end of something with overlaps. We need people that's going to create more, because the problem with us, is that it's not that we don't have players. Like Pogba is a good goal scorer and good at taking shots. Bruno's the exact same. Ronaldo's the same. Everyone, all the front four are actually good at putting the ball in the back of the net. The problem we have, we don't create. So we've gone and got one of the best creators in Europe, and then we're not going to play him where we said we're going to play him. We're going to put him on the left, and then we're not creating. We don't have systems of play for us to even create these chances. I just look at Man United. I think Ollie's just a fraud, because like, what is he waiting for? He's waiting for the perfect 11. So he's basically telling us, I can't win nothing unless I have a perfect. Like, I'm thinking City and we look at Chelsea and we look at Liverpool. They haven't always had the perfect 11. And another thing that Adam spoke about earlier, I mean, Charlie mentioned about some of our players being like good players and then some of them being world-class players, is that see good players in good systems, they become better. That's why you look at a lot of Liverpool players, they're just good players. But because they're in a good system, they just actually look solid. And I remember Arsene Wenger used to do this a lot when he's having serious systems at Arsenal, and everyone used to like overrate the players because of how good Wenger's systems were. And then when they would leave Arsenal, they couldn't do anything. Like, they couldn't play the same way. And everyone was like, I thought my man was good. I thought this, I thought that. But it's that good system and being a good player, not a world class. Because a lot of these systems that Wenger had early on at Arsenal made players look world class when they weren't. So then when they got sold on and went other places, people were like, "Right, where's this world class player?" But they were just good players in a great system. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, I feel like we have enough good players. And I even wonder to myself, if McTominay was in Klopp's team, would he be getting the stick that he gets here?
Of course not.
You know what I'm saying? Would he be getting that same level of stick? And I think even like I remember City wanted Fred before we got.
They wanted Fred. Yeah, they wanted him. Yeah.
Would he be getting the same stick at City if he was in them systems? I don't think so, because like Adam mentioned last time as well, was that we play in a way that exposes our frailties rather than what we're actually good at. So our system of play just exposes all of the things that our players can't do rather than the things that they can do. Absolutely. So we're going to expose McTominay, and McTominay plays centre half for Scotland, and he plays, I don't know where else he plays centre half for Scotland. So it shows you, like, Adam, at Man United in a rebuild, trying to get back to the top, he's sitting in one of the most important parts of the field for us, in the middle of the park. And that's not no disrespect to him, but how is it he can't get into the middle of the park for Scotland, but he's going to be somehow doing that at Man United? You know what I'm trying to say? And then I feel like Fred just came back from the Copa America, and everyone will be like, it's only international football. But we don't say that about Pogba when he's turning it on for France. So I think at the same time, if Fred's going to turn it on in South America with the big teams that they've got over there and be a key player in that Brazilian system, what is it that they're doing better? Is it that Fred's he's surrounded by better players, with better coaches, with better systems, that's bringing out the best in Fred, and then he comes back to Old Trafford? Because you have to remember, Fred was one of our players of the seasons about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
What happened to that guy?
Absolutely.
What happened to that guy?
You're absolutely spot on, mate. Absolutely spot on. And there's a reason why, and we know that Manchester City wanted Fred. That we know it for a fact. Why? People at the time, they thought it was to replace David Silva and Plaza 8. No, he wants him at the base of the midfield, just like Fernandinho. And why? Not because Fred is a good, strong defensive midfielder, because Fred covers a lot of ground, and you cannot rely on his long-range pass. But Pep doesn't want you to make long-range passes.
No, he doesn't. He wants everything controlled.
Exactly. You press as a team, as a unit. So you have 3 players pressing the player with the ball. They win it back. Fred is 2-footed. He gets the ball and he just quickly shifts it to the side. And that's all he needs. Someone who can run the entire game, complete the press, and just quickly release it. No short, no long passes, no dribbles, no tempo controlling type of stuff. This is not what he wanted. This is what he wants from Fred, is to complete the press and quickly release it. And this is why it just doesn't make sense to me that Fred is the player getting all of the abuse when we are not playing into his strength and we are exposing his weakness, as you said. And Fred is not physically strong. He's not a big size player. So those mistakes will happen more often because first he plays quite deep in midfield. So if Fred makes a mistake, it will most likely lead to a chance. And he cannot all of a sudden become strong. So that is our responsibility to protect him from that. But you play him back to the position under pressure with the ball in the place he's not. Like the game against Everton, people were slating Fred and rating him 2-3 out of 10, and Fred had a good game against Everton. He just made that mistake that led to the goal, and that abuse he got for that game was more aimed at the coaching staff not playing Van de Beek than it was aimed at the actual performance of Fred. Fred had nothing to do with the abuse he received that day. He got jumped by I think it's Gray, and then that led to the goal.
Yeah, true.
People wanted someone else to play in midfield, and we are so fed up of McFred that the moment he makes a mistake, all of a sudden that discredits his entire performance.
But Adam, it's true. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah, I think it's one of them things where everyone knows the problem, but then again, all is almost like it's called lambs to the slaughter. You keep putting them out there, and they get eaten alive out there. I mean, for me, it's just crazy. And you know what it is? Yeah, it's that I think for me, Ollie gets so much protection from the media, from I think certain pundits, and for me, I don't know if Charlie have seen the comments from Carragher. He says, "I'm sitting here thinking you've just signed a player that's won the Champions League 4 times. You spent 75 million a winger. You finished second last season. You didn't lose a game away from home all season. There's only one step to go." Gary Neville and Roy Keane were saying that they can't win the league. They lack this, they lack that. The Glazers aren't putting money in. They should be going for Harry Kane. So again, it's like everyone's kind of like noticing there's one big coaching element lacking from this team. And when you got crucial games coming up, and I mean crucial games, Leicester away, Atlanta at home, then it's Liverpool at home. I think is it Man City away? Yeah, Man City away. Sorry, at home. Sorry, it's and then you got Tottenham in the mist and all that. It's honestly it's squeaky bum time, isn't it?
Yeah, well, those comments about Jamie Carragher speaks more sense about Man United than a lot of Man United forward players do.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Talking about lack of investment, it's just a load of rubbish. I mean, 80 million on. We've got to understand. Ollie bought these players. He spent 35 million on a Van de Beek who he never uses. I understand Ahmad and Pellistri are more long term, but he still bought those players. He spent 80 million on Maguire. 50 million on Wan-Bissaka, and we could go on and on. And some of them have been a success. I mean, I think Cavani on a free was eventually turned out to be very, very good for us. I think without Cavani last season, I think Europa League final, would we have got there? Probably could have lost in normal time as well. Just the anticipation of Cavani is just incredible. Just that knowledge he has in his head, and obviously Bruno has scored a lot of goals for us and got a lot of assists for us. And a lot of people sort of go against that and say, and I understand his overall game, he could improve, but I think that also comes down to coaching as well and the system.
Yeah.
And obviously Ronaldo's come. Obviously Varane and Sancho, nobody's saying they're bad signings, but the issue is that, as you said, a lot of protection in the media. I mean, Paul Scholes came out saying that McTominay's the answer at number 6, and Rio Ferdinand, they're not ready. Gary Neville said we need to sign Kane. It's just. I just don't know. Obviously, they're his friends, and they just don't want to criticize him. But there's just not enough people that speak the truth. And it normally is Liverpool. I mean, I think Peter Crouch made a comment, didn't he, as well? about the individual stuff.
Tiemann Haman as well. You know,
Yeah.
is it Dieter Hamann or something like that? The
Well,
former
Rio tried
Liverpool
to
player.
speak. Rio tried to speak, and I think Ollie went for it.
Well, there you go.
But then the thing is, when it's former Liverpool players that say it, then you come out that the top Reds or the Ollie Inners or whatever you want, whoever group that support, then you get those people saying, "Oh, he's a Scouse. This is a Scouse." That just because he played for Liverpool, then they come out with this. Oh, they don't like United. No, they're actually speaking the truth. They're going from a non-biased place, and they're actually speaking the truth. If you speak to people on Twitter, and I know it's on Twitter, but if you speak to Newcastle fans, Burnley fans, Everton fans, whoever you want, what's your opinion on Man United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? You know, I go on the train to Old Trafford, and if I meet some people, other fans that are going to other games, oh, what do you think of Ole? And a lot of them tell me, oh, I'm not sure if he's the man. That a lot of them tell me, oh, I think he relies on it. And they're just people who are non-biased. They don't have any. They don't have any association, so they just speak. They just speak what they see. And I think a lot of United fans, and I think we all were a little bit at the start with the interim period. I really enjoyed it. Fantastic football, you know, after lockdown, very, very good. But I think the majority of it, you just got to speak what you see, and you've got to take the, you know, you've got to take the feeling you have for Ollie in your heart from a player and just say, right, actually, this is not the way to go forward now. But yeah, as you said, those fixtures sound very, very daunting. And the other thing is, with the amount of fixtures that we've got, he cannot play a 4-2-3-1 with McTominay and Fred in every single game. He's going to have to rotate. He's going to have to rotate. And go on.
No. Carry on.
I was just going to say, like, the use of the wider squad is going to be vital. We know that Telles and Dalot suit wing-back roles more. So will we see them as wing-backs in a back three or a back five? We know Nemanja Matic can play. Has been one. I actually think Matic has been one of our best players this season. I think he's been fantastic when he's come on. He's made a difference.
Yeah,
he's changed games for us. The West Ham game with the Lingard assist, the assist for Lingard's goal. But like, what are we going to see? Are we going to see a 4-2-3-1 with McTominay and Fred in every game? That's just going to. It's just not going to work. They're going to tire out. He's got to use Matic. He's got to use Pogba. He's got to use Van der Beek in midfield. But we all know that Bruno will play every game. Ronaldo will play every game. Rashford will probably play every game if he starts. Maybe he might be managed a little bit, but Rashford will play a part in every game. Greenwood doesn't want to drop Greenwood. Greenwood will probably play every game. So he's got to put loyalties to the side. We talked about the Europa League final. Greenwood was the second best player on the pitch for us probably on that night, and he was taken off before Rashford, who was injured and had an absolute shocker. So he's got to take the loyalties away and actually think what is best. But we know, as we talked about, he leaves players on who can score him a goal. And that's not players on who can actually affect the game over a long period.
Yeah, that's a reality, isn't it, Adam? You know, when you look at these games now, you know, there's the quick fire games that are coming up, you know. I mean, how confident are you that, you know, United will get out of this? Do you think he'll get out of this? Do you think he'll be exposed even more? You know, the lack of rotation Charlie talks about there. You're looking at, you know, does Van der Beek want to come into a team where knowing if I make a mistake in a game here, you know, I'm out the team even more, and I'm going to get chastised even more. You know,
I think he'll be exposed, but I think he has been exposed for already too long, and people are just trying to see, if he wins this, they're basing their opinion on the next run of results. This is not the sustainable way to go, because he has been exposed enough to have deserved the sack long time ago. And I'm just not confident that he'll get the sack, even if we lose every single game at this point, because this man he has more lives than a cat. It's stunning. It really is stunning. He should have been gone time ago. And as Charlie said, the way he believes he can impact the game is putting goal scorers on the pitch. This is so naive. For example, he will, for example, if we need to defend the goal, he will keep Rashford and Dan James up top, and he will take off Martial, for example, and will defend and try to pass it to those, because Dan James and Rashford are quick. They are very, very, very fast-paced player. But it's just, if you want to get there, you need to take that ball to the floor, control it, hold it, and then pass it. And this is why you don't need players like Rashford and Dan James. You need players like Martial, like Igalo, anyone that can hold. You'd be better off with Fellaini, for example, just someone that can chest it down, drop it to the floor, hold it, and then in transition, you allow that. pace on the counter, if you can't control and pass the ball, it's like being heavier than, for example, than someone else in a boxing fight, but you can't touch the man. It's like Canelo against Floyd. If you cannot touch the man, the weight doesn't make an impact. And this is the exact same situation. Pacing behind doesn't serve any purpose if you cannot get that ball in behind. And this is what, as Charlie said, he brings on goal scorers to impact the game. But if you go back in time, I remember a game, I just don't remember which one, but we needed a goal. And Sir Alex Ferguson, instead of bringing on a goal scorer, he brought on Carrick. And then we got the goal. And people were outraged. Oh, what is he doing? We need a goal and he's bringing on central. No, we need someone that can take that ball, control it, and then facilitate the movements for the other players. And we ended up getting that goal. And this is, for example, in certain games, the best change you could make is bring on Matic, is bring on Pogba in midfield, is bring Donny van de Beek on. Just control the pace, move it, and then you will create the chances. And even if he rotates, that's my problem. He will rotate. He will take off James Greenwood and he will bring on Sancho. He will take off Martial and will bring on Cavani. And just some goal scorer for goal scorer type of stuff. And it won't make change. It won't make a change. And as Charlie said earlier, going back to what he said about the rival fans, this is a problem we have. People are not scared. People are just not scared of Manchester United. We are very, very kind. We're very friendly. We're not a scary team. We are not mean enough. And every single winning team or winner, whatever, what is this, chess, whether it's boxing, whatever, you need to be a bit of a scumbag if you want to achieve the greatest success. That's why Jose Mourinho wins. That's why Pep Guardiola and Klopp are likable, not so likable. That's why Cristiano Ronaldo is as successful as he is, because he is focused on himself and not anyone else. And do not get it twisted. He came to United, but he could have gone somewhere else. Just what basically I'm trying to say. And we are too kind, too nice, too friendly. It's too easy. We are not a team that people are afraid to play against. And we have one of the scariest squad in Europe, I believe. In Europe, squads in Europe. And people will defend the manager and the coaching staff, and they'll say, "Oh, Carragher and those Liverpool scouts," as Charlie said, they will discredit what they say. But they are way more lucid than we are. They see it from outside. They see it from outside.
And sometimes when you see it from outside, that's probably the most powerful position to have. You know what I mean? That's
why I didn't want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to get the full-time job, because I'm not based in the UK. I couldn't go to games. I couldn't get sucked in the gas. I couldn't get excited as much as people there used to be, because I'm so far away that I cannot celebrate with other United fans as much as you can do. So I was a bit more distant with the situation. I said, look, this is very nice, but still, it is not enough for me to give him the full-time job. Maybe it is. Maybe he would be at the time. No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And it ended up being quite rightly the thing we shouldn't have.
Yeah, exactly. Final thoughts then, Musa. What happens now next? What happens for you?
For me, I think, like I said, for years we've heard armchair ex-players who sit in studios talking about or talk down about coaches like Pep and Klopp and Jose, talking about, well, these guys only win stuff because they've got the best players in the world and they've got big checkbooks. Well, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has proven, no matter how big your checkbook is and how good the players are, if you're not a proper coach at heart, then you don't win everything in the world. You know what I'm saying? It's not as it was seemed out to be. So I think that's been proven. So that being the case, I just feel like for us, we just need to get a proper coach. It's not about the players you've got. It's not about how many players you've got. Yeah, it's more about the system of play, how good the coach is. Yeah, it's not about just, we got the best players in the world. We bought Ronaldo. Even if we get someone in to sit in that sixth position, I don't think we're going to be able to win anything. You know what I'm saying? Because I just don't see the system. I don't care who we have. Because to be honest, I believe we've got the players already now to win and to compete. With that six or not, we have the players to do it. And I believe if any of the other coaches had this team, they'll be competing and they'll be right up there playing a style of football that will have us all excited and all believing that we can get this title.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's probably the best way to end the Unfiltered podcast. Big up to everybody who's tuned in. If you haven't liked the video already, you know what I mean, please like the video. People, we're giving you, you know what I mean, very, very good detailed analysis on the kind of the mess is at Man United and the fact that so many people are reporting the mess right now, which kind of which kind of makes you think. You know what I mean? It's like, what are the Glazers not seeing? You know what I mean? Are they just watching from afar? Have they just left the house unoccupied? You know what I mean? Maybe they've said, do what you want and we'll come back to you. You know what I mean? It feels like one of them situations. But thanks for everyone for watching. Charlie, give yourself a shout out, mate.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter, Threadman Chazza. There's a thread coming soon, which is about what we can do without Maguire and Varane. It'll talk about like a back three and sort of how to execute it efficiently. It won't focus too much about the coaching because obviously that takes time, but I'm just focusing on just tactical. So follow me and you'll get that. Cheers.
Yeah, make sure you go follow him, and a pleasure, to be on the show. Adam, where can they find you as well?
Yeah, on Twitter at Adam Manred. And mostly these days it's quite negative. So if you want to get cheered up, just waiting for a good result or something.
Absolutely, man. Big up to you, Adam. And Musa, man, you're at the Resale Hub. What's going on?
Yeah, Resale Hub, man. We're just working away, staying all busy, getting these shoes out to the people that need them the most in the community. Just check me out, Resale CIC, and you can find the work that we're doing.
Yeah, big up to everybody. Like I said to you people, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video. Follow these guys on their socials. And it's by the time we probably have this next podcast, you know what I mean? Who knows where United will be? You know what I mean? It's going to be a crazy, crazy ride. Just make sure you're tucked in, man, because it could be one hell of a ride. But people like the video.
Get your seatbelts on, lads.
Seatbelts on. Strap up, man. But people like the video. Subscribe to Saeed TV. We're out. Take